Hello gamers and welcome back to another review. So today we're going to be taking a look at something I've wanted to take a look at for a while. Or rather a genre I've wanted to take a look at for a while. So this is going to be our first time on this channel reviewing a Transformers toy. So for some reason you don't know what they are. They're giant robots that can think for themselves and transform into cars. That's basically it. They're not like Gundam giant robot because, see, the Gundams they're mecha because they're piloted. These things are just sentient. But anyways, today we're going to be reviewing one of my favorite of all time, Studio Series 86 Hot Rod. So the Studio Series 86 line is supposed to recreate the characters from the Transformers the movie from 1986, and wants to make them just super accurate to the cartoon. And I feel they did do a pretty good job, except for, I guess, the extra surface detail, but the surface detail looks nice. You can see he has, like, really nice proportions. No kibble. No, if you don't know what kibble is on Transformers, this is kibble. Basically, it's parts of the vehicle mode that are left over on the robot mode, but, again, some Transformers have parts of the vehicle mode left on the robot mode as a part of their design. Like how this one, B127, has, the front of the car on his chest. That's part of his design, but things like having this huge backpack that sticks out a bunch is not, so that's kibble. But Studio Series 86 Hot Rod over here doesn't have any of that. Like, sure, he has a backpack, but this is part of his design to have this cool flared out backpack spoiler kind of thing. And same with the legs. So he's like a really cool and really accurate representation of the original, like, cartoon model from Generation 1. And up until now, with the recent War for Cybertron trilogy, we haven't gotten much recreations of, like, the G1 characters. We've got stylized ones, like in Classics, in Power of the Primes. Whenever, like, true recreations. So I'm really happy to see actual recreations now. Anyways, yeah, he does look really good. He's really solid, because unlike Gunpla, these aren't model kits, these are just, like, action figures. They come, like, pre-built, I guess. And they have screws and all that stuff. So yeah, now that we've seen what the main robot looks like, I think it's time we look at his accessories. Now, before I show the accessories, I will mention I'm missing one, which is one of my favorite things. I don't know where I put it, but it's basically this cool background to recreate this one famous scene from the movie. Now, let's look at the accessories. So first off, we have his guns. So these are pretty nicely painted in they're cast in a red plastic you can see on the handle, and then a silver paint. And I like how they didn't paint the handle so it doesn't scratch off the paint you put into his hand. But yeah, these are molded really nicely. We also get an exact duplicate of this. So, actually, no, they are a bit different. That's nice. This one has a bit of paint chipping. So, yeah, we got these two guns. And we got the figure. We can just move the arms up. He has these kind of articulated hands, which is nice. But we can just pop the guns into here. It's a bit tricky. There we go. And these look really nice when in the hands. Next up, we have some cool effect parts, which can be used for shooting with the guns, like I showed. Or can be used here on these, like, exhaust bits. It's kind of like beam tonfa kind of things, like with a Gundam, like a Unicorn Gundam. Or you can use these as just exhaust effects when he's in his vehicle mode. Next accessory is his pizza cutter. So this is a little blade. It can spin, and they did some sculpting so it looks like it's always spinning. And it's really cool you put this in his hand. So you just take this and do that transformation. It reveals a 5mm port, which you can just put into here, and then you can use it as a kind of weapon, I guess. And the other hand has the same gimmick. This time it's a little tiny welding tool that he used in one scene of the movie. He also has a similar feature on his head, which reveals some cool glasses, which I like to use with this, so it looks like a welding mask, even though he doesn't really need that, because his face is already made of metal. And finally, for our last accessory, we get the Matrix of leadership. This is really nicely sculpted and painted with a lot of detail, and some nice clear blue parts, which you can use as light piping to make it look like it's glowing. Or you can use the included effect part, this is meant to be used with Hot Rod right here, and that background, so it looks like he's holding it up and using its power, but again, don't know what that is, but it does look really cool, and he can hold it. Yeah, the effect's really nice for the Matrix. And of course, he can hold the Matrix because of these articulated hands, even though it's way too small, but they do a lot of mass shifting in the show, so it's forgivable, I guess. Yeah, a little Matrix. Sadly, he doesn't store in his chest. But yeah, those are all the accessories he comes with, which may not seem like a lot, and it's not really that much. But Transformers usually only come with 1 to 2 accessories, so I guess in terms of that, it's a good amount. Now let's do some size comparisons. Here he is next to that B-127 or Bumblebee I showed earlier. Here he is with a Micromaster, a Legends figure, and because most of you are here who watch my Gundam reviews, here he is with some Gundams. So here he is with some Cosmic Era mobile suits, Universal Century mobile suits, 00 mobile suits, and some After Colony mobile suits. And for some more direct Gundam size comparisons, here he is with a Master Grade and High Grade. So he's taller than a High Grade, but not as tall as a Master Grade. Odd scale. And now let's look at his vehicle mode. The transformation to car mode, it's really fun. It's also pretty simple, and it's really clever in a lot of areas. How, like, basically the entire back of the car folds up neatly into the legs, and how all of the parts in the front of the car fold up neatly into the torso. Also, yeah, the chest is fake. It's supposed to be the front of the car, but it's fake, but I feel like they made up for it with how clever the transformation is here. Yeah, the vehicle mode is almost perfect. It's not actually the same proportions as the G1 version, but I like these more. Like the only thing I don't really like is this yellow hinge here. It looks pretty ugly. I kind of wish they painted it because I already had paint here, here, and here, so I kind of wish they painted that. The blue windows do look really nice, and you can even see Hot Rod's face in there just looking at you. We have a nice spoiler, and the underside's also pretty clean. There's no, like, robot bits hanging off everywhere, and yeah, it's just a really good vehicle mode. And it rolls. Well, not that well, because this is, like, a mouse pad on, basically. Well, you get the idea. And like I mentioned earlier, these, effect parts can be slotted onto the exhaust right here, so you can get some cool room effects. The weapons can also be stored on here, but I've heard it can break the plastic, but, like, what you do is you would put, like, these two on here like this, and then to top it off, you put this on here, which looks really stupid. But it's cool that they included some kind of way to store the weapons, even though you're still going to have 2 spare ones. But yeah, it's a really nice vehicle mode, has really nice proportions, looks really sleek, and the paint job is really nice. And now for the articulation. Yeah, again, the transformation is super addictive. And it's really clever, like, seeing all those bits just kind of fold away inside of Hot Rod. Really cool. And now articulation. So the head is just on a ball joint that gives you decent upwards, down, or no downwards, and a bit of tilt, and you can rotate it around, probably. The shoulder joints, I don't really like. You would get forwards and backwards, but it's blocked a bit here. And you can rotate it forwards and outwards like this. On this arm, nice and tight. On this arm, and this isn't just on my figure. I've seen other cases, but oh well, I guess that's quality control. I don't know. He doesn't have a bicep swivel, but he does have a lower arm or elbow swivel. And then we got to the elbow bend. Oh, by the way, this figure is from, like, last year. Elbow bend. Yeah. Just a bit beyond 90 degrees. I let those old Seed Destiny high grades get away with this because those things are from, like, 2006. This is from 2018. And the whole thing at the time was trying to up the articulation, but I think the only articulation they really added was ankle tilts. Which is just something that should be necessary on action figures. Anyways, the wrist... Oh. The wrist is on a swivel, which likes to knock that off, and like I said earlier, the hands are kind of articulated. He has a waist swivel that can go all the way around for the transformation. This is really clever. The, like, front skirts here are connected to the legs, so you get a kick up to the front, blocked up out to the back, and then you can get the splits pretty easily. I get upper thigh swivel, a bend at the knee, which is double jointed, and doesn't get you, like, the full bend. And this is, like, the part that they were talking about upping the articulation in the line. Ankle tilt. Forwards, backwards, inwards. So they were talking about upping the articulation. I guess they did by adding, like, you know, thigh swivels, upper arm swivels, ankle tilts. Well, that was in the War for Cybertron trilogy. This was released alongside that. And I have the figures from the War for Cybertron trilogy. It's the same thing. So yeah, the articulation isn't that good. But it's not really good on any Transformer. I mean, I guess for the Seekers from Siege, but... yeah, articulation is not his strongest aspect. But because of how, like, expressive the design is, the articulation, the poses you can get him in, just like with the high-grade Exy, I don't know if I've said this, but articulation is not good, but because of how dynamic the design looks, any pose you get it in looks really good. So the articulation it does have makes it look good. And besides, it could have been a whole lot worse. But yeah, that's it for my review of the Studio Series 86 Hot Rod. It's a really good figure that looks really good in both modes, has really good paint, a decent amount of accessories, and a really fun transformation, but he drops the ball a bit in the articulation department. And the fact that he's like $40. So I was going to give him 5 Roy Roys, like a 5 out of 5, but I think I'm going to have to go with a 4. So yeah, 4 out of 5 Roy Roys for the Studio Series 86 Hot Rod. Yeah, that's it for my review. If you enjoyed, like. If you didn't enjoy, don't like. And, yeah, bye.